The air in San Francisco always carried a faint tang of salt and ambition, a city where dreams glittered like the bay at sunrise. For Elena Voss, 34, that glitter wasn't just a metaphor, it was her lifeblood. Born and raised in the shadow of the Golden Gate, Elena had never known a world without gems. Her family's jewelry store, Voss Luminaries, sat nestled in the heart of Union Square, a beacon of elegance amid the city's upscale bustle. To the outside world it was a boutique of breathtaking craftsmanship, but to Elena, it was a legacy etched into her beneath, a legacy of brilliance, secrecy, and unrelenting pride. Elena's earliest memories weren't of playgrounds or scraped knees. They were of her grandfather's workshop, a dimly lit sanctuary of tools and treasures. While other kids mastered hopscotch, she learned to wield a loop, her tiny fingers tracing the facets of sapphires under her grandfather's watchful eye. "It's not just about the cut, Elena," he'd say, his voice a gravelly hymn. "It's about the soul of the stone. We don't just shape them, we give them stories." His hands, callous from decades of labor, guided hers as they polished rubies until they glowed like captured sunsets. And then there was the secret, the Voss family technique, a method of treating gems that made them shimmer with an otherworldly fire. It had been handed down through 6 generations, a guarded heirloom more precious than any diamond in their vault. "This is our edge," her father, Victor, told her on her 18th birthday, his stern face softening with rare tenderness. "Guard it with your life, Elena. It's our past, our present, and our future." By the time Elena took the reins of Voss Luminaries at 25, the store wasn't just Servoinjit, it was Thrive-a-Ing. Her designs, infused with the family secret, drew a clientele of loyal patrons who swore no other jeweler could match the radiance of a Voss piece. Rivals whispered and speculated, but none could crack the mystery. Elena wore her responsibility like armor, a young woman in a cutthroat industry where old money and older men often dismissed her as a novelty. She didn't care. She had the stones, the skill, and the will to prove them wrong. The Gemstone Society's annual gala was the Oscars of the jewelry world. A night of champagne wishes and CVYAR dreams held at the Fairmont Hotel atop Nob Hill. That year Elena arrived in a gown of midnight blue velvet, its neckline plunging just enough to frame the star of her ensemble, a choker of black opals that danced with iridescent fire. She felt invincible, the buzz of the room amplifying her confidence as she glided through the crowd. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over designer suits and glittering gowns, the air thick with perfume and power. "Elena, you're a VY Shaun," chirped Beatrice, a longtime client with a penchant for oversized pearls. She clutched Elena's wrist, her eyes zeroing in on the choker. "Is this new?" "It's divine." Elena smiled, the pride swelling in her chest. "Just finished it last week. It's part of the Nocturne collection, our boldest yet." Beatrice clapped her hands. "I'll be at the shop Monday. Save it for me." As she floated off, Elena felt a light tap on her shoulder. She turned and the world tilted. The man before her had eyes like the Pacific in winter, deep, stormy blue, framed by dark lashes that made them almost unfair. "Excuse me," he said, his voice smooth as polished obsidian. "I couldn't help overhearing. You're Elena Voss, right?" She nodded, suddenly aware of the heat creeping up her neck. "That's me. And you are?" He extended a hand, his smile a quiet weapon. "Julian Hart. Pleasure to meet you. I've been admiring your work from afar." The name hit her like a hammer. Hart. As in Hart Voss Sons, the jewelry dynasty that dominated the West Coast and beyond. They were titans, their empire built on decades of wealth and ruthless expansion. And here was their golden heir, standing before her like she was the only person in the room. "The pleasure's mine," she said, shaking his hand, her voice steadier than she felt. "I didn't expect to see a Hart at an event like this. Don't you usually send proxies?" Julian laughed, a sound that wrapped around her like cashmere. "Usually, yes. But I insisted on coming this year. Your name's been on everyone's lips, Elena. You're shaking things up." Her cheeks flushed, but she held his gaze. "I try. It's a tough industry." His eyes sparkled with something unreadable. "It is. Which is why I'd love to talk business. How about dinner next week? I think a collaboration between Voss Luminaries and Hart Voss Sons could be transformative." The word hung between them, heavy with possibility. A collaboration with the Harts could catapult her family's name into the stratosphere. But a flicker of caution sparked in her gut. They were competitors, giants who'd swallowed smaller firms whole. Could she trust them with her world? Dinner sounds intriguing, she said, pushing the doubt aside. Let's make it happen. Julian's smile widened. Perfect. I'll have my assistant reach out. He glanced past her, his expression shifting to mild regret. Duty calls, I'm afraid. But I'll see you soon, Elena. As he melted into the crowd, she felt a thrill she couldn't name. Julian Hart had sought her out. Her, Elena Voss, the girl who traded dolls for diamonds. Dinner was at Atelier Cren, a Michelin-starred haven where San Francisco's elite dined on art disguised as food. Julian waited at a corner table, his tailored suit accentuating the breadth of his shoulders. He stood as she approached, his eyes sweeping over her emerald green dress. Elena, he said, taking her hand, you're breathtaking. She smiled, ignoring the flutter in her stomach. You're not too bad yourself, Hart. They settled in, wine flowing as easily as their conversation. They swapped war stories. His about a client who demanded a ruby the size of a golf ball. Hers about a sapphire that cracked mid-cut, nearly breaking her heart. So, she said as their entrees arrived, this collaboration. What's your VY Shaun? Julian leaned forward, his enthusiasm electric. I've studied your work, Elena. The way your gems catch the light, it's unparalleled. Pair that with Hart Vosson's resources and distribution, and we could redefine luxury jewelry. A limited line, exclusive and groundbreaking. She arched a brow. And our techniques? The secrets that make us who we are. He raised his hands, palms out. Untouched. This isn't about stealing, it's about synergy. Your brilliance, our reach. It was tempting, a dream too big to dismiss outright. But the Voss secret was her shield, her birthright. It's a lot to consider, she said, sipping her wine. I'll need to run it by my team. Julian nodded, unfazed. Take your time. I'm patient. As the night wore on, their talk drifted from business to personal waters. He spoke of growing up under the Hart legacy, the weight of expectation a constant shadow. She shared her own burdens, the sleepless nights perfecting a design, the fear of letting her family down. By dessert, she realized she was laughing more than she had in months. Julian didn't stop at dinner. He swept into her life like a storm, all charm and grand gestures. 2 weeks later, he appeared at her apartment with a grin and 2 plane tickets. Pack light, he said. We're going to Santorini. She balked, her mind racing to the orders piling up at the shop. Julian, I can't just, he cut her off with a kiss, soft and insistent. When's the last time you breathed, Elena? The work will wait. She couldn't argue with that. Santorini was a revelation, whitewashed cliffs, turquoise seas, and Julian's vy dead attention. They swam in hidden coves, danced in tavernas, and watched sunsets that painted the sky in hues she'd never replicate. For the first time, she felt like more than her craft. Back in San Francisco, their bond deepened. He sent her rare irises from a greenhouse in Holland, their petals as delicate as his thoughtfulness. They spent nights at rooftop bars or curled up in her loft, debating everything from gem cuts to jazz. But perfection cracked when she met his parents. The Harts lived in a Pacific Heights mansion that screamed old money, marble floors, original Picassos, and a chill that seeped into her bones. Cassandra Hart, Julian's mother, greeted her with a smile as thin as a blade. So you're the little jeweler Julian's been so taken with, she said, her tone syrupy with disdain. Elena straightened. Elena Voss of Voss Luminaries. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Hart. Vincent Hart, Julian's father, was warmer but no less calculating. Voss Luminaries, he mused, swirling his scotch. You've carved out quite a niche. Impressive for a startup. The dinner was a gauntlet of veiled barbs. Cassandra accidentally knocked her wineglass into Elena's lap, her apology dripping with insincerity. Oh dear, I forget how clumsy I can be. I suppose your hands are steadier, handling all those rocks. Elena gritted her teeth, dabbing at the stain. It's fine. I'm used to messes. Julian's hand found hers under the table, a silent lifeline. Later, deriving her home, he gripped the wheel tight. I'm sorry about them. They're set in their ways. She stared out at the city lights. They're protecting their empire. I get it. He shook his head. You're part of my life now, Elena. They'll have to deal with it. 6 months in, Julien whisked her to Paris. They strolled the Seine, gorged on croissants, and laughed under the Eiffel Tower's glow. On their final night at a restaurant overlooking Notre Dame, he grew quiet. Elena, he said, taking her hand, you've changed my world. Then he knelt, a velvet box in hand, and the room held its breath. Will you marry me? The ring was stunning, a pear-cut diamond flanked by emeralds, but a fleeting thought nagged at her. It didn't shine like a vase piece. She buried it beneath her joy. Yes, she whispered, tears blurring her VY gown. Yes. The engagement party was a spectacle at the Hart Mansion. A sea of champagne and Chanel. Elena felt like an outsider among the elite, their polished smiles masking judgment. Cassandra cornered her near the dessert table. We were all quite shocked by Julien's choice, she said, her eyes glinting. A Hart marrying. Well, someone so unconventional. Before Elena could retort, Julien appeared, his arm sliding around her. Mother enough. That night as they danced he murmured, make her a piece. Something extraordinary. Show her what you're capable of. The idea gnawed at her. Sharing even a hint of the Voss secret felt like betrayal, but maybe it could thaw the ice. She poured herself into the necklace of moonstones and rare tanzanite, woven into a cascade that shimmered like a galaxy. It was a masterpiece, a peace offering laced with her family's magic. Julien saw it one night in her workshop and froze. Elena, it's unreal. But fate had other plans. A week later at the Hart Mansion for a planning session, Elena overheard voices sharp, conspiratorial. She crept closer, peering through a cracked door. Julien paced, wineglass in hand, while his parents lounged like predators. She's so eager to please, he said, his tone mocking. That necklace's handing us her whole legacy. Cassandra's laugh was a shard of glass. And to think we doubted you. She actually believes you're smitten. Vincent smirked. Once we reverse engineer that technique, we'll bury Voss luminaries. It's just business. Elena stumbled back, bile rising in her throat. The man she loved, the life she'd envied Cyanetted was a lie. She fled, tears burning as she drove home. In her workshop she sat in the dark, replaying every moment. The grand gestures, the tender words, all a performance. Rage replaced her grief, cold and precise. They wanted her secret? She'd give them a reckoning. She played the doting fiancé, flawlessly smiling at dress fittings, cooing over invitations while plotting in secret. Late nights became her domain. She hacked Julien's laptop, uncovering a trove of Hart Vosson's files. Among them, proof they'd been swapping premium gems for fakes, defrauding clients for years. She bought a recorder, tucking it into her purse, capturing every smug word they let slip. And she worked on a new collection, Eclipse, each piece a dagger of truth, a serpent pendant for deceit, a fractured ruby ring for shattered vows, a choker of black pearls for the darkness they'd unleashed. The wedding was set for a cliffside estate in Big Sur, the Pacific crashing below. Elena arrived in a gown of ivory silk, her case of Eva Denke and jewelry clutched tight. Guests murmured as she walked the aisle, Julien beaming at the altar. But instead of taking his hand, she faced the crowd. There won't be a wedding today, she declared, her voice steel. Gasps rippled through the guests. Julien blinked. Elena, what? She ignored him, opening her case. Instead, I present Eclipse, a story of betrayal. She unveiled each piece, narrating their meaning as the hearts paled. Then came the necklace for Cassandra, its gems spelling fraud in the light. And this, she said, is for the woman who thought she could break me. The crowd erupted as she laid out the evidence documents, recordings, undeniable proof. The Harts didn't just betray me. They've betrayed you all. Cassandra shrieked, Vincent roared, but security dragged them out. Elena stood tall. Voss luminaries will rise on integrity, not lies. The fallout was seismic. The wedding that wasn't dominated headlines, from Vogue to the Wall Street Journal. The Hart empire collapsed under lawsuits and shame, while Elena became an icon. She rebuilt Voss luminaries, her designs bolder, her mission clear. Honesty in every facet. One night, A client approached her at the shop. "You saved me," the woman said. "I bought a heart piece worthless thanks to them. You gave me justice." Elena smiled, the weight of her journey settling into strength. The scandal had forged her anew, and she was just beginning to shine.